people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall never surrender.
Good day, everybody. This is UCY.tv. This is the Solvinur Event. I am your host, Walter. I live in the Netherlands and I make a radio in the United States. It is 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and it's the 28th of December 2016. So I've been making this kind of radio for a while now. I just realized that a couple of days ago. I'm like, people ask me what I do, and I say, well, I make radio, among other things, like working at the Intratuin. And, oh, so how long have you been doing that? Is the question. And I think back, oh, it's been a long time already. It's been going on 10 years now. And I'm like, wow, time flies. A lot has happened in those 10 years, also in the field of the kind of radio that we make here at UCY.tv. Check out the website UCY.tv. If you scroll to the bottom, you will see a little donate button. So help us out, because this is ad-free radio. Every host here on UCY that makes his content for UCY is not interrupted by any ads of any kind. So it's good if you can donate some dollars there. There is a website, a chat page, on which you can get to via the website, UCY.tv. There's a few people there. Don't think anybody's, I think they're all AFK though, because it's been kind of quiet. CT, Dell, Dirt Engineer, Jules, and Tuanons. Last couple of weeks we were out due to technical problems and other things, like me totally forgetting. It's because the new roster that I have made me lose completely what kind of fracking day it is, and I just forgot that Wednesday is my new day. I've seen that also. And so apologies for that. Should be okay now though. Got an old computer running on Windows XP. We can continue. Where we left off last time was discussing chapter 2. I don't know how far we got with it, because that's on my new old my new broken computer, which is now an old computer. And so I had to look everything up again. I lost a lot of stuff, actually. Maybe I can rip the hard disk out and some friends can help me there, but that's not my kind of stuff. Maybe we can even fix it, but anyway, chapter 2 from the Gita and I was trying to explain a little bit about the verses there, but I don't know if anyone's listening that wants to introduce a new topic that what you guys want to talk about, right? Let's see, what do you guys want to talk about? I have phones open, if I'm not mistaken. 718-717-8296, you can try those. If it doesn't work, you can always catch me at Solvinur at Skype. SOL, V from Victor, I, N from Nico, U, R. That's Solvinur, yeah, on Skype. So you can contact me there and I'll drag you on air. Okay, that was a joke. Yeah, I typed in chat, what do you guys want to talk about? And one says, objectivism. And then immediately after that, so like, okay, let's not do that. Yeah. It's a philosophy originated by Ayn Rand and perpetuated by many. But yeah, we'd have to look that up, buddy. Let's do that. Let's do that. Zoiets, yeah. And then Google won't let me use their services. Have you guys had that also? They come up with this page in your face and yeah, they say, we ask you to read this. And then you say, well, okay, your request is denied, right? Since they're asking, you see. So it's not really, it's a fracking lie that they ask you. Because if you don't answer, then you're not getting services from them. So, okay, fine then, don't. There's other search engines as well. Yeah, I guess indeed this has to do with epistemology, solipsism, CT. Jules says science reaching for the keys to immortality. Yeah, that's one topic I'd like to discuss if somebody would like to call in about that, because I have a lot of trouble with it since I still have to see science come up with a decent definition for life. So, you know, these dreams about immortality, I don't know. I think I think we should, you know, like give more attention to the metaphysics of this. You know, they come from a material world as we, our Westerners, live, right? Descartes had a lot to do with this. And the 17th century Enlightenment period has a lot to do with this. It's the way we view the world. We think that matter is everything there is. And that somehow, by combining certain molecules, you get life and consciousness. But this is not proven in any way. There's no evidence for these axioms that these scientists are using, Jules. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, 718-717-8296. SLC, call in. Right, so the scientists today, they think that you can do everything if you just look at matter and try to explain things by experimenting, theorizing, and things like that. But what if, and I'm, not asking this question as it's some kind of possibility, because anything is possible, right? But what if there's more than just matter? And just in your own experience, you can, I think, logically conclude that there must be more than matter, because what the frack are your thoughts? Those don't seem like material to me. They are so fleeting, right? So I don't think that ScienceAlert.com, Jules. Harvard scientists think they've pinpointed a neural source of consciousness. Well, I'm conscious of my toe as well, But let's check it out. Scientists have struggled for millennia to understand human consciousness, the awareness of one's existence. Yeah. There's, those are actually two things, by the way. Call. Welcome, caller. You're on the air. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Well, this is Mike here, one of the UCI regulars that hangs out in Jules' wonderful chat.
Welcome.
Well, this is a very large subject that you're discussing.
Uh-huh.
Or very small.
Not small.
Well, it depends on how big a thought is, right? Does it move the universe or does it not? This is the crux of objectivism is going all the way to the modern physics of the day, where they do not believe whatever we call reality exists without us observing it.
Yes, and that's going a bit too far, in my opinion. I think that's very short-sighted.
It's gone very far, right? This is the point where the consensus reality literally makes the universe, I don't know, exhibit itself or bloom or whatever. And so the corresponding thought would be if everybody were to quit thinking all at once, then the universe would disappear, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of idea that is floating out there. I know, it's amazing. I heard of it for the first time when I was about 22. And I was talking to a friend of mine who is a philosopher who actually studied it. And he said, did you know that there are people that think when they die, everybody dies? And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Well, I never thought that, but I did think that there was a continuous, say, consciousness that's bigger than any single person. Take, for instance, a rotating globe, and, the way it goes, the day-night cycle, and we have Greenwich time. But there's always light somewhere on our planet, and somebody's awake somewhere all the time. And information is now transferred very, very quickly at the speed of light around the planet.
Yeah.
Faster than it was before. So you could literally say that the consciousness that we have does not at all depend on a single person. If you were to look at it at a larger scale, maybe we're all just little neurons in a larger consciousness.
Yes, but why then would your consciousness be confined to your body?
Well, that is a good question, and I'm not exactly sure that
And
what you would call your consciousness is confined into your body, but I really doubt that you would ever be able to measure it outside of your body, because those are not measurable things.
Maybe they are. Rupert Sheldrake did a couple of tests, and this has to do with consciousness. I would think it more in the field of mind. The thing is that those two are closely connected. And we'd have to have, for a good conversation, also a kind of definition for what you think consciousness is, which you just gave, by the way, at least a good example of it. And also what mind is, because consciousness, as it is said here in the first two, let me just do this, Mike, from Jules in this article about the Harvard scientists, right? They are saying here, scientists have struggled for the millennia to understand human consciousness, right? So there's that word. And then it says, dash, the awareness of one's existence, right? That's a step further, though. That's a step further, because consciousness can just mean if I clap in my hands, I can feel and hear, right? That's
well, I guess at that point you could say a bee or a spider has a certain type of consciousness because it's totally aware of its environment and what it's supposed to do at that time to survive.
But is it aware of itself? And that's something else, you see? That's something else.
Well, who knows? This is the wonderful Platonic argument we're getting into again. Is reality really just a simple reflection of things we can't perceive well? Or is it a manufactured straight from our, do we develop what we would call reality from our conscience? And I'm always reading, basically, I've never made my mind on it because I don't think I'm smart enough to do that yet.
Okay, well, I think you'll be smart enough. I mean, do you think that reality was there in the 1800s?
I believe that there was a certain type of reality in the dream time that many cultures spoke about, where they were so connected to what the world is, like they could feel a weather front coming in across the ocean 3 days in advance somehow. How do they do that? Well, people can, some people can smell water. A few H2O molecules, a slight concentration of water vapor across an entire desert, and go find the one water hole. Now, how and why is that a particular skill for them, and other people are completely blind to it?
Yeah, but hold on. We skipped the last point. You were asking about basically you said, you talked about the primacy of consciousness versus the primacy of existence. And the thing is...
Okay, well, that's a way to put that.
Yeah, that's how you put that in those terms. The thing is, that's why I asked, do you think reality existed in the 1800s? Or in the 1900? Did reality exist in 1900?
Yeah, we will never know what the reality is, but yes, of course.
We won't know what it was. No,
it
makes sense to say that it did exist, right?
Of course it does. There's a history of it. People wrote it down. There's text, there's pottery, there's all of that other thing. But I guess you should say it doesn't exist anymore, but it did exist.
Yeah, but wouldn't you then say that your consciousness has no effect on that? Your consciousness.
Well, I really doubt that anybody's. Okay, as soon as that moment passes, okay, we only have one present, one existence. There is really no such. In reality, there's no future and no past. In reality, in this moment, because you cannot move from one to the other. You cannot definitely change. You can light a fire and start something else, but that keeps progressing, in real time, not in the future. And there's no such thing. You can't fix the past no matter what you do. So That is I guess I have the problem with the term reality that you're using.
Well, yeah, that's why we should make definitions for the words that we use, like reality, like consciousness,
Yeah.
like that.
So it was real. It was real. It did happen. I mean, but it is not reality as we experience it now during time. I guess that's a fair assessment of it.
I think that that what you said, reality as we experience it, tells a lot about how you look at reality. Because I think that reality, because that's why I asked about the 18 and 1900s, because we weren't born then yet, right?
No, but I have genes that came from that period, you know, the genetic structure of my very body.
That's all.
So is that, I do consider it, I'm so real that I know darn well that was real, but, you know, I'm not them.
Yeah, but my point is that that's all, that doesn't matter really. It's a side issue. The thing is that reality existed before we were born. So I cannot see why my consciousness would be responsible for the existence. It doesn't make sense. Existence
Your
is out there.
consciousness is only responsible for your existence and your world and the future.
Well,
you can't make a change in the past, right? There's no way you can't change the past, but you certainly can change the future. Even if you just decide to pick your nose or not, it makes a little difference somewhere. Who knows?
Yeah, but you and I live in the same reality, right?
Nope.
We don't.
Because we both have it. No, because we have different understandings of history, and so what you do, what you create, what you think,
yeah, but that
based
matter.
Upon a subject. Yes, it does.
No,
it's based upon your subjective understanding. And if your understanding is totally different than my understanding, so you may pray to a different God or whatever, so your reality is different than my reality.
Mike, it doesn't matter what I think of reality. Reality is what it is. It is not influenced by my whims or my wishes or my wants.
I think it is. You're changing the airwaves right now with your wishes and your thoughts.
Now, that's action. That's action in reality. This is that's another topic. Right.
Well, your thoughts are driving your actions. If you didn't have the thoughts, you wouldn't do the actions.
No.
So so now we're going to talk about the difference between physical and mental reality.
No. We can't even go there.
Even breathing changes something.
No,
you might pass on a disease just by your breathing and kill 1 million people. Way to go.
We have a metaphysical difference of opinion, and if you have that, then you need to be very careful. Right, because you say that we do not live in the same reality. Well, I say we do, because for you, the towers came down on 9/11, and for me, the towers came down on 9/11. You see, we live in the same reality. And it doesn't...
Yes, but some people believe it's okay to eat whales and other people don't. That's a totally different reality.
Those are cultural values. That has... metaphysically seen, not such a impact on what would one call reality. Those are cultural differences. That's just a little tiny bit of reality.
Okay, but it's still part of reality.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. All of those little bits, make a difference. So that causes sexism, racism, classism, religionism, blah, 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 isms, all those little differences.
Yeah.
Cause that's why there's, really people look at the world a lot differently. I've been lots of continents now and seen.
Yeah.
So,
okay, nice. That's good.
So many people are so different and look at the world in such a different way. Not everybody's a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew either.
Yeah.
A lot of people are different thinkers. And I really believe they are creating our reality as we speak, and we don't know a darn bit about theirs. I have no idea what's going on in Kazakhstan or Yemen or the Central African Republic or any of that. And so their reality to me is just completely different.
Would you agree to the term perceived reality then?
Well, yeah, we can't even. We're so limited. We can't. We will never be able to observe and comprehend what the real reality. It's always subjected to us because of our limitations of humans.
Because the limitations of what?
Humans. We are humans.
Because the
We only have 5 senses.
humans.
They're only on half the time, and usually we turn most of them off on purpose. And we only selectively hear what we want to hear.
I don't know.
And we turn off whatever we don't want to hear.
Einstein
And
said,
sometimes great information is not available to us simply because it's censored by the powers that be in our subjective reality.
I don't know if it's our limitations. Einstein said that the most incomprehensible thing about the universe was that it was comprehensible. You see?
Power of the mind. He was stuck in that too. Why was our brains or even our desire to understand like his was? What drove him to dig down into the depths of trying to do that?
Yeah, and this is a kind of, it just came into my mind. I don't know if it's correct, but it's also a kind of nihilism to say such things. I think
neologism or whatever?
Nihilism. Nihilism.
Nihilism?
Yeah.
N-I-H-I-L.
Humans are not capable of understanding reality. I don't know if it is, but, I think that humans...
As a whole, and I didn't say humans, I said me, individually. I don't think they're, not... The vast majority of people are not polymaths. They don't understand lots of languages. They're not cultural anthropologists. Most people are simply good working, hardcore, go to jobs, break rock, whatever. So the difference between humans, the human race, and our cultural ability, and if we were to put them all together and build our Einstein machines and get Big Blue to work together with Watson and all that other, hey, that'd be great. But that's not me, and that's not even you, is it?
I think that an educated person has less chance of reaching, of getting a grasp at the truth than you do. I think you're much closer than you think you are, actually. Otherwise, you wouldn't call into this kind of shows,
Well, actually, I was a missionary for a long time, and I've read, lots of things. My library is fairly full of history and philosophy and histories.
Wow.
Well, I don't think you're going to learn very much other than that. I'm not going to get much out of Newsweek, Time, National Geographic, and Scientific American anymore. Those titles have become totally redundant. They just completely reproduce the party line story, regardless of any science.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I used to look, my daddy had, he didn't have a library actually, but there was an encyclopedia there, and I used to pick it up and start reading it. Because I was so curious, I just wanted to figure out what the frack was going on. That's also one thing that bugs me about this, that you say that humans are not good enough, to understand reality.
I believe we are, but
we are limited somehow. Because
we are limited by the information that we are allowed access to. You can even start all the way at the top and say, we've got national security, and then we redact everything. So Americans don't even get to know what their government's doing because it's all redacted and it's limited at the top. So first of all, our information that we're using to draw a picture of our world is occluded on purpose. So we don't get to see that. So it's not that we're not smart enough. It's so we're not giving the correct input. Mm-hmm. It's like a computer, and you got garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not even disparaging the idea that any human child that was given the right type of nurturing and information and without too much judgment and the right guidance could be a genius.
Yeah.
I really kind of think that is a possibility.
Sure.
But because of the cultural constraints that are put upon by every nation on the planet. You're not allowed to see this. You can't watch that. They're not going to cover this. They're going to hide the history of that. They're going to not talk about why you're a slave in America. Nobody knows the Federal Reserve's owned privately, blah, 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 blah. So we are a nation. What we have done collectively is create a nation of people that are so stupid that they continue this warlike reality in their mind because they believe the brown guy is going to kill us with a nuclear weapon in somewhere.
Uh-huh.
They're stuck on fear and ignorance because they don't have any option is given to them easy. The easiest thing that's been given to them is consumer culture. They go watch a television show. They got a new sports thing on there and a pay-per-view fight. And by the way, you can order your pizzas right now special if you call during the fight for $5 each.
Yeah.
All right. So that is my argument about the reality that we're creating is simply we're too uneducated to create a good one.
I was kind of assuming that you and I have pinched through all of that and call it illusion, right? We call
yes, you and I, and a few other people, and especially a lot of people that listen to UCY.
Yeah.
Really.
Hey, but
shows
one other thing, you mentioned the Fed owned, right? And I did a little checking, and I agree with Clint Richardson, who claims that the Fed cannot be owned because it's created by government. So you need to explain a little bit about that, because this is one of my weakest links in my web of knowledge about the New World Order, is that the financial thing. I know it has to do with banks.
The best information comes straight from the Federal Reserve's website itself. And go read it. It has a great website.
You can read the act also where it was...
Yes, and what it will tell you is that the member central banks of the large central bank have shareholders. And the shareholders seem to be governmental businesses, and the vast majority of them are other central banks. So, say the Central Bank of New York or the Central Bank of Kansas or wherever they are, their shareholders are spread across the world to other central banks.
Okay. I guess we have the same
but those
thing
are privately owned. So the shares may not be privately owned by individuals. But America's central bank are not owned by the states or the people. They're owned by central banks, and the shares of the central banks are all owned by other individuals. So if you look at, so it's like 5 layers of deception.
Wow. Okay, that's too much for me, to be honest with you. This is so difficult topic for me, economics. Yeah.
Oh, well, they make it difficult on purpose because it wants to be occluded. Nobody wants to see it. It's not transparent. It's opaque. And then they're going to just tell you it's okay. And then they're going to give you some food stamps and a little trickle down, and then everybody's going to be happy as long as you got a free Obama phone.
Yeah. You got the Keynesian economics, the Austrian economics, and another one, I think, right?
The straight Adamsian economics of the pure capitalist or whatever that's not even has nothing to do with the Miesian, the Austrian guys. They're all about hard specie and money, money. Other ones all operate with specie, backed cash paper.
Fake money, in other words. Fake money.
Pardon?
That's fake money, in other words.
Yes, it's not. Well, now we get to do the definition of money, right?
Yeah. Medium of exchange.
Well, these guys will argue about these kind of things for days, hours, weeks, months, right? Entire tomes and books.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing we got into after we started finding out that if you put seeds in the ground, there's a plant growing, and that's food. Agriculture. I don't know. that's when we were able to make cities, you know, and because there were no cities before there was agriculture, and so also there was no money before there were any cities.
No, there wasn't. Then they had to
No.
find an easy way to, they had little tab scripts or whatever, so the
Yeah.
average worker never carried his stuff around and get his
Exactly.
rations. It's always back.
We had to come up with something. Yeah.
This is the argument, though, is what they want to do is separate the creation of wealth, use it, harvesting human labor, interest, and mind power, without tying it to any physical value like gold, silver, iron, copper, or anything. And so that is what modern banking is designed to do, is to create a surrogate and something they can inflate and manipulate and put into these certain systems or whatever, businesses that are growing at the time, completely separated away from anything to do with what we would call anything with true value. So now we're talking about the difference between wealth and value. Because then you go to what is wealth? Well, these guys make wealth out of what they call the speed of money. And I'm sure you've heard of the speed of money.
Oof. Speed of money? No, actually no.
Okay. Well, if I can turn over my $1 and it goes through buy something that's $5 and you buy it locally. Well, that local person takes that $5 and immediately goes and buys something from another local person. And so this is what it does, is that same $5 magnifies economic activity within the community really rapidly if it's done correctly. There's no taxes.
Yeah, understand.
Okay, that's basically what the speed of money is.
Okay. Yeah.
And yes, I did take some economics classes, just so you know.
Yeah, I had them at school also, but that was like only they learned us to do bookkeeping. The only thing that they learned us. They didn't teach us about how markets work, actually. Nothing about that.
Well, I think you have to do a lot of independent study after a certain point, unless you're accepted into a graduate program, because it's not something that anybody talks about. And you can go online and get lectures from certain universities. Now, some professors put their lectures online, and I listen to a lot of those.
Oh. Huh.
Really, almost any subject you can study. I'm not studying it. I'm listening to this person tell me how crystallography works and how chemical structures are created. And I'm not very smart, so there's a lot of good things you can learn on that.
Yeah, Rupert Sheldrake had something very interesting to say about chemical structures forming. He has this idea about morphogenetic fields. Have you ever heard of those?
Yes.
Yeah,
I actually agree with it in so many ways. It's almost similar to the theory of complexification. There's some reason that things become more complex naturally by themselves. And now it gets down to, this is the meaning of life, right? What is life? Didn't you go there?
It might be a pointer, who knows? Yeah, but the chemicals he mentioned, he said that if there's a new chemical created, it will form difficult. And that is also, he says, what his friends tell him, his chemist friends, and that it becomes easier to make, easier to replicate. And that also the melting points of these crystals tend to go down because they become more resistant. After building a couple of times, these structures become more resistant to temperature shakes. And so the melting point goes down. And this only happens to newly created compounds. And that's, according to him, a clear indication of the morphogenetic field. And the complexification you mentioned is also very prevalent in nature, where you can see, I mean, I don't know how many thousands sorts of grass and plants and birds and everything. There's so much variety. It's amazing, to be honest with you. Yeah.
And the fact is, what causes all of these fungus and bacteria and insects and everything to want to reproduce? What is the driving factor?
Yeah.
Really, why do people desire to have children? Why? Why?
Yeah.
So why is existence necessary?
Why is existence necessary?
Yeah, because the universe would disappear if all the animals and plants and all the living stuff just quit living. Why do they live? That's the theory of complexification. And it's not even a theory; it's a question.
I don't think.
Why is life organizing and creating and complexifying in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I don't think existence depends on life. I think existence is out there whether there's life or not.
Okay, a meaningful existence, I guess I should say, because a rock simply does not have a desire to reproduce and make more rocks.
No.
Maybe stars do. You know, they go through their life cycle. They eat all their helium and turn it into hydrogen, and they blow up, and then they make heavy metals and whatever, and they have a higher.
The smaller stars can make up to iron. The bigger stars, however, can make even heavier elements.
Golden, yep.
Yeah.
I think it takes a very large star to make gold.
Yeah. I think those.
So our solar system is what, like how many billions of years old, and it was reformed from another star and whatever?
Yes. We are a remnant of a supernova.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
It puts me into perspective pretty easily. Like, you know, a little tiny blip on, on the universe. Little tiny itty bitty. It's so small.
Yeah. When I think last night even, I was thinking about this question that you asked. What the frack is life doing? And I was like, okay, if it was really about intelligence and consciousness, self-consciousness, then why the frack did it take so long? You know, how many billions of years has life already existed? You know, what's going on?
How about this?
No?
Let's go back there, because now we get to another wonderful an idea. Some say call it a hypothesis. That the Earth here has been a planet that's had multiple intelligent cultures that have destroyed themselves.
Yeah. Or being destroyed by asteroids.
So maybe we just haven't learned anything, right?
Well, I don't know. I think it's still in the morphogenetic field then. Yeah, I do.
Well, we just haven't done it right. We're going to try again until we get it good.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you asked these questions, Walter, because a lot of people never bother.
Yeah. I try to raise some of these questions at poker evenings, but it's very hard. I can't get a response, you know. It's very hard.
Would they look at you like you've been, doing LSD or something?
No. They
Schopenhauer again?
No. They shove me a beer and say, "Here, drink some more," because it's a little bit like, "Shut up."
We can't go there.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I bet they teach philosophy different in Europe than they do here in America. They really do.
I don't know. My nephew is going to have philosophy classes soon. At least he wants to. And I'll ask him. But I know from this zealot in objectivism that his claim anyway is that all of the universities have been infected by subjectivism. That is what you actually a little bit say, is that your consciousness is first, right? It's primacy of consciousness, and then existence comes later somehow. You see, that's the view nowadays, which I disagree with. So yeah.
But these thoughts actually go in cycles too. They recycle the same old arguments like every 20, 40 years. In across the universities, and I believe it's just to keep having these internal arguments so people have something to talk about.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I think philosophers like Kant have had such a great impact that you can't really make a difference anymore. We're on this path, philosophically speaking. And then no matter how many variations you make, it's all going to end disastrously, so to speak. That's why, in my opinion, science is in such a mess with all this dark matter and dark energy that they have, quote unquote, created or discovered. You know, it's just tracking math that they have to make the figures meet, but they just
didn't Sheldrake say, "Give me one miracle and I can make everything else work"?
Sorry, what?
Didn't Sheldrake say, the one that said, "Just give me one miracle at the beginning, I can make everything else work"?
That's what the scientists say. Yeah, that comes from his buddy, not Sheldrake himself. He got that from Terence McKenna.
McKenna?
Yeah.
Yeah, just all we need is a miracle at the very start, and then we can explain everything else.
Yeah, that's the scientist.
And that's the scientific method at this point.
Yeah.
So this using the logical arguments, you can say he's invalidated his argument at the very beginning through the premise. So the entire construction of their cosmology is invalid because they require an unsupportable assumption right at the first to create their hypothesis.
Yes, I agree.
And unmeasurable, even.
Yeah.
So now we get back to objectivism.
Well, yeah, indeed. If you would have an objectivist view, then these problems wouldn't arise, you know? You wouldn't be talking about the origins of the universe, basically. That question is invalid in objectivism. So.
Well, and even to be able to ask the question about the universe, as you were saying before, is a conundrum. Why do we even, like you said, was it Einstein? Why do we even, the idea of it is comprehensible at all?
Yeah.
Why do we even try to figure it out? What is the driving force?
That's a good question. I can only give you a religious answer.
Well, that's what everybody does in the end.
Yeah.
Give us one miracle.
Yeah. And so it's a good question. And I don't have an answer for it. The only
You know what? That is the most honest, best thing that anybody could possibly say is, I don't know enough and I'm going to study further.
Well, yeah,
think about
I don't know enough. And I have studied.
I don't know it either.
I don't know enough,
I don't.
I
don't know the answer. I know a lot of questions.
Yeah.
That nobody has the answer for.
Yeah, nice. Well, maybe it's not so nice, but It reminds me of the time when I was just doing my first 9/11 research, you know. It's questions, everywhere questions. Yeah.
And the standard is they either ignore you or they deflect you or they make an outright lie or then they attack you. I mean, there's a standard way of dealing with people like me and you.
Huh.
There's methods of defense against the truth.
Yeah.
And then they just end up running away.
Okay, well, I had a good experience with that. When I was finished with my research on 9/11, I had actually saved a lot of stuff. And it was all on my computer, and I've thought, hey, well, actually, this could be a presentation that I've, gathered together by now. And I went to the cultural centrum here in my city, and I said, hey, guys, can I have your room for a night, and let me do a presentation on September 11. And they said, okay,
Really?
That's fine. And they made even flyers for me. I could see my name in the city hanging around, It was funny. And so I came there that night, and the room was kind of full. And I gave a 2-hour presentation, and the audience was captivated. I know. I even got a standing applause later, and intelligent questions also. So, that was good. That was good. Yeah.
And they were intelligent questions, right?
Yeah, they were intelligence questions like, what's Israel's role in this? Yeah.
And people did show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And were they aware of that type of history before? They hadn't been shown. They didn't know, huh?
No, I did before. In the beginning, I asked them some questions like, how many people here have heard of the term false flag? And only one person raised his hand, right? So that's when I knew what kind of audience I had, and I started from the very basic things, right? And so I started explaining little bit by little bit what a false flag operation is, where the term came from, and everything. Yeah.
And then you wrapped it up pretty much saying, Operation Tripod and Building 7 and the Pentagon, and then you had to ask, now what has happened? That's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know anybody else other than you have done that.
Okay.
I'm proud of you for doing that. If I tried to do that here, I'd be totally. They would not let you do it.
Huh?
They would not let you do that here. No, you cannot be a 9/11 denier. That's just as bad as being an anti-Semite hating Israel's, genocide with Palestinians. You anti-Semite.
Yeah. Yeah, this
not politically
that
correct.
is changing here in the Netherlands, I think, because I was at a party one time, and somebody said the word Jew, and I was like, hey, I heard the word Jew, and so I don't know if anybody else can do this, but like my eyes, you can focus them on something. I can do the same with my ears, I can focus on one thing and listen to it. And so I picked that up, and it was a good conversation. It was not like, oh, you can't talk about those. You can't say that word, It was a good conversation. So
I'm talking about the politics of Israel separated from Jews. If you can just talk about Zionism and political Israel without hating on all Jews, then you've graduated.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got that. I think it's easy to wear out on philosophical conversations because they're often circular and they go back to where they begin. And oh my.
Well, the philosophical issues that I have discussed are more of a Western type. What I've been getting into the last couple of weeks, months, maybe 2 months, is more of the Eastern kind of type, and it's very different. It really is. It's supposed.
And I really, honestly don't understand it, other than I know it's very ancient. their thinking comes from. I mean, how many gods do you really need?
They got 30 million.
Come on.
Yeah,
I don't need that many gods. It's really difficult. I can't even keep a Christmas list going.
They got a god for everything, for growing your hair, for growing the grass, for growing the wheat, for growing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every single separate thing has a god.
So that's like making their. Oh, that's a good idea. Turn everything into a racket.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I've got a special little a little figurine, a votive or whatever. Here you go. And for that one, it'll help. I promise. Yep.
Yeah.
Want to get rid of rats? Here, I got the anti-rat god. It's the rat eater.
Yeah. In some places in India, rats are holy, like cows are holy everywhere in India.
Now, that's just totally disgusting.
Yeah, that's insane, right? But they have this...
Well, I know they eat monkey brains and dogs in certain places, too, so I don't like that. But they do. That's their subjective reality. Tasty monkey brains.
No, not so nice.
Here, Fido.
No, but there was this temple. It was a big temple, and everywhere there were rats, and there were a couple of monks walking around. Yeah, everywhere.
That's gross. I'm sorry, really. I'm not okay with that. That's just.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That's like pet rat.
But there's good things
like,
in there too, you know. There's good things.
I think Rat Boy should meet Cat Lady, and we'll have the rumble in the jungle.
Yeah.
And take the cat lady with 300 cats over there, and she can visit the temple with all the rats.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Well, at least that'll make good video.
Yeah. Hey,
sorry.
Awesome that you called in, buddy. It was so good to talk with you.
Well, I've chatted with you many, many times and only called you once a couple of years ago, so I thought it was time.
Yeah. No. If we now chat, we have a little bit more understanding about each other.
Yes, and I like the fact that you have this time schedule, this slot, simply because I don't have my brains put together well enough to call in the morning.
Okay.
On Saturdays.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah, I like this slot also
nice.
better, so that's good. It's a good slot.
Well, now you have to just have one more. You have to do another day.
Uh-huh. Well, I'll think about it.
Maybe. Okay. All right, well, it's been wonderful. I really appreciate your show, and I love the fact that Jules has you on, and UCY is the best, so you know.
Exactly. Jules, thanks a lot for letting us have this time. It's awesome.
Yeah, very awesome. And now we got to get one other person to call in so we can have a three-way argument about philosophy, all right?
Maybe next time. We're out of time.
All right, I know.
In 1 minute.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for calling.
Yep.
Awesome.
You have a good one.
Take care, buddy.
You too. Bye-bye.
See ya. That was fracking awesome. It's good to talk to people that one chats to on a regular basis. So thanks a lot for listening. Tuanon still alive in the chat, together with Chemtrailer, Delnick, Dirty Engineer, Dirt Engineer, that's not dirty, Jules, and me. That was it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. I'll be back next week, and we will see what we do then. See you guys. Bye-bye.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end.